Hi, everyone. I have a special treat for you today. I have Erin here, who is an amazing coach who specializes in nervous system resilience and bringing that and manifestation together, which I am so excited to dive into in this interview because I've seen it work for her. It's been amazing. So, Erin has been doing this work with me for a little over a year. I have seen the entire journey. It's been amazing to witness the transformation that she's had, literally coming in kind of as a new coach with a new business, or semi new, I would say, with some one-on-one clients, building that up, filling that up, then moving into groups, having this amazing group container that she created, and seeing her clients see so many results. And it's been so amazing to witness that journey because it really wasn't long. Like we were working together a little over a year, and there was so much that happened. And one of the things that I'm so excited to touch on in this interview is just like, I think one of the coolest manifestations that I saw with you, Erin, was it wasn't necessarily that you learned to manifest success, because you've had success in the past. But what I saw you do was transform the way you created success. And you started creating success in a whole new way, with a new energy, that felt aligned with your values and time and your energy. So I definitely want to dive into that today. But let me first have you introduce yourself and share a little bit with everyone, just a little bit, like expand on what you do and how you got into it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I just love Jamie. But yes, as Jamie mentioned, I call myself a stress freedom life coach. And I say that I got into this because I needed it. So as
Mhm.
Jamie kind of mentioned, like I've had success. And even before coaching, I was a pharmacist. I did some other business adventures, I say, but they were successful. They had multiple businesses that went to six-figure plus, but I
Never know.
never created without stress. So I would always achieve. Felt like I was a person that like had big dreams, and I would pretty much do anything to achieve them. And really, if I set my mind to it, I would get what I set my mind to. But it came with a lot of stress and other areas of my life kind of being sacrificed. So my health, my relationships, all that stuff, kind of like there was a give and take. So I kind of came to a point where I was like, I love to achieve. I'm like a go-getter, type A, kind of got a high from achieving, but I was no longer willing to sacrifice. Hired my first coach, and gosh, then it just kind of, propelled from there. I then wanted to do it myself, and I learned more stress tools myself, and it has totally changed everything.
Yeah. Amazing. That's so awesome. And that's how so many of us coaches start. We're like, I want to for my own life. Or we do transform and we're like, I can't hold this back from the world. Like, wait, what? So that's amazing, Erin. I am curious, as you were sharing or like saying how, that you could create success and you knew how to create something you put your mind to, but it was always at the cost of other things. And you were always doing it with the energy of stress, which, you're not alone. There's so many people that come to this podcast and come into my world who have the same experience and think, oh, well, if I want that, it means I have to sacrifice something, or I have to be stressed out, or it's going to be heavy to be able to create it. So, what I'm curious about is, were you able to identify the belief that you held back then that made it so that you created from stress? Like, what was it that you believed? And I don't know if you've ever identified that,
Yeah.
but I'm curious because it's always helpful to gain awareness, like, oh, what is it that my mind's believing that's making me take action in this way, making me create from that energy?
Yes. Okay. So I love this question. And I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I've ever identified the thought. Um, and it kind of makes me realize too, like, I think that's where the nervous system piece has been so beneficial, because while I don't know if I noticed the thought, it was probably a whole bunch of thoughts that came from a dysregulated nervous system, that came from
Mm,
being in the stress state.
yeah.
So I can certainly say, like, I attract clients who are just like me. So some of their thoughts are that stress is part of it. Like if I release the stress, I won't be as successful, almost
Yeah.
feeling like stress is what fuels them and keeps going. So I would imagine that I had versions of very similar thoughts, but you've definitely given me something to think about. What were the thoughts? What were the thoughts that were playing in my head?
Yeah.
And there were probably so many of them that were subconscious, right? Like that were
Yeah.
fueling, the constant go, 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 sacrificing
100%.
of other things.
Yeah.
Um, it's not enough, the
Yeah.
same thoughts that
100%.
fuel many of us.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's so much like conditioning around that. At least I mean, I remember not, just growing up or what I see online even still is like, oh yeah, if you want to do that, you have to work really, really hard,
Yes.
right? And things like
Yes.
that. And we just associate working really, really hard with stressing ourselves out, with grinding, with being exhausted. And so we think that's what it takes. We live that out. And most people don't know there's another option and don't know that there is even another way to have a successful business and not be stressed out all the time. Not that you're not going to have stressors here and there that you have to, regulate, work with yourself, but it doesn't take stress to create success. So I'd love to hear about that journey for you and how you started to reprogram that.
Yes. So I mean, I think even before we worked together and just getting started as a coach, it's like some of that thought work did help, right? Like I would
Mhm.
change the thought, I'd feel relief from stress. So I think that's what like started the initial journey of like, this is amazing. Like I need to know more and I need to share it. But there was a lot of times that I noticed where it was the thought work did not shift me out of stress, or
Yeah.
it just almost felt like I was fighting against myself, which made me go into the nervous system piece, which changed everything. So I
Yeah.
think the question was like, how did I start to realize? Well, you can ask me again, just so I.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm curious about is, yeah, how did you start to reprogram that old way? And
Yeah,
reprogramming could be through thought work mixed with nervous system regulation, mixed with manifest. I don't know, right? Like, I'm just
yeah,
wondering what your process was for reprogramming it from shifting out of this belief that
yes,
you had to, and if you wanted to be successful, it had to come at a sacrifice or that
yes.
you had to be stressed out, right?
Yes, yeah. So great question. So what happened was, I know you do the model in your program, and what I have learned is like between our thoughts and our circumstances are actually our nervous system. So how I started to reprogram these beliefs myself was starting to regulate my nervous system, starting to experience life with a little less stress, right? Like as you mentioned, we're never going to be completely stress free, but in those shifts, then my thoughts shifted. And those of us who are type A, full of stress, go, 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 thinking about slowing down is stressful. So I started to reprogram myself by giving myself more times where I was slowing down, where I was getting
Mhm.
myself out of the stress cycle and noticing, okay, I'm still alive. Like, right? Like the world didn't end, my business didn't crumble.
Yeah.
And then just like over time, extending how much time I'm in what I call the magic zone, where we're not
Mm.
running on stress. So, what's amazing is that when we do spend time there, just like how our actions are different when our beliefs are different, our thoughts are different when our nervous system state is different.
Yep.
So, it's just a different way to reprogram that's not just thought work, it's like getting
Yeah.
into your body and
Yep.
reprogramming from that place. So that's really what has made the biggest difference to me.
That's amazing. Amazing. I went through this same thing when I remember I was going through a season of burnout and I realized that I don't know how to rest because when I was resting, I was anxious and I was like thinking I should be doing something. I'm not productive. What if everything falls apart? I was an anxious mess. Just resting
Yes.
and just laying down, which was what my body needed. And I could feel the pull from my body, but my mind was going absolutely nuts, right? Like, no, this isn't safe.
Mhm.
It's not okay. And it was offering all of these thoughts. And so it was through, similar to what you said, kind of like quote unquote exposure therapy, just being in like being with the rest and then working with the mind that was scared of resting and staying in it. And that's how I was able to reprogram that too, because I'm very much also a, high achiever. I have great desires. I love going and all of that. But it if you stay in just that state, right? It's like you don't experience the balance of life and the fullness of life. And it's like then you're only feeling comfortable when you're stressed out. And that's what is the point of that, right? Or when you're in this heightened state of go, go, go. And that's not good for the body. So I'm
Yes.
curious, like,
And
yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say it is like it is so true. Like not only is it not good for your body, but what I have come to realize too is like you're actually not at peak performance. Like we're almost like in this busier action, but we're in less effective action. So
Mm,
it makes no sense. It like the mind wants to say, but how can I do less and achieve more? But it's what happens every time. And there's tons of good data and studies that back this up. Um, but yeah, it changes everything and you're going to feel better too doing that work.
What have you noticed has changed since you've started doing this work and learning how to get more comfortable just being and get more comfortable not being in a stress state? What's changed in terms of your business, your creativity, your
Yeah.
manifestations, your ideas, anything? I mean, anything. I'm just
I
curious.
mean, everything. So like,
Okay.
yeah, like let me think about a few things. And like the one thing that has helped my mind get on board with this practice too is knowing that the purpose of stress is survival. So really knowing that like if we're in a stress state, like if we're thinking we can't slow down and we're feeling any source of stress in our body, like our bodies are literally in fight mode, like in keeping us alive mode. And knowing that when we go to this place, we are shifting about 1,000 different microshifts in our body. So it's
Yep.
like all these things that are great for thriving are deprioritized to literally keep us alive. So like my conscious mind that has helped. And like I said, with these 1,000 changes, and your question was like, where have I noticed these benefits in practicing this work? It's like, where have I not? Because it's
Okay.
really like this light switch of like, I'm in survival mode, even if I'm not fully in survival mode, your body does the same thing. It's shifting in the same way, whether we're a little stressed or whether we're like full on overwhelmed. Um, but where I've noticed it, I am just, it's not perfect. I feel like I'm on this journey, of course, like, and it always will be. But from where I was, I don't work that much. Like,
Yeah.
and I think I'm even coming up to this point where like, how can I even work less? Um, a lot of it and a lot of the work we've done, it's like, it doesn't make sense, logical sense, how my business has grown and how people find me. Cause I'm like, it's truly in the moments where I release and I step back that things come in, like taking a
Mm.
full week off for vacation, no email, no social media, and then having like clients waiting for me.
Yep.
Um, so it's like it has helped in business, working less, things coming in so much easier. My relationships in my core family with my child, with my husband are much better. And then friendships, I feel like I have just this circle of really aligned friends. Um, so many things. Like in what area has it
Yeah.
not? My health has improved. I
Right.
used to have like debilitating migraines. I
Yeah.
rarely have migraines. And when I have them, they're a fraction of what they used to be. So,
Wow.
so many areas it's improved.
Yes, amazing. How did you realize that it was in letting go in your business that really helps you to manifest?
So, and this one, I'm still learning. I mean, it's just this evolution, but how did I realize it? Trying to think about how to answer that because I think it's like you teach about like an evidence journal. So I
Mhm.
think it's like there's building up this evidence because again, however old you are, you have decades of evidence that doing it how you've been doing it is quote
Yeah.
unquote working because you've been looking through that lens. So it's
Yep.
like I started to build up evidence of how being stress free, which we're not totally stress free, but choosing to stop the stress cycle, getting into the thriving mode, letting things happen works and works far better than I can do on like just going and just starting to build up evidence that this is possible. This is what is done. I think has allowed me to step into that more, if that's answering your question.
Totally, totally. I love that. Yeah. And to share in terms of an evidence journal, I think actually that you bring that up, it's really, I think could be super helpful for anyone who's listening who wants to reprogram really anything or want to build belief in something is to start looking for the smallest bit of evidence that it's safe, that it's okay. And I actually remember you doing this when it was maybe 6, 7, I don't know, it was over the summer and you were going on a trip. I think it was to Alaska. Is that when you did a
Mm,
cruise to Alaska,
that
right?
rings a bell. Yeah.
Yes, and I remember you were like, "Wait a minute, I wanna take fully off, but I've never done something like that," and I think there was a little bit of nerves, and it was like, "Okay, let's just feel into the nerves, but lean into it," right? And I think
Yeah.
after that trip, I remember you came back and all of the, like, people had reached out, clients and stuff, so it's so fun to, like that's the thing with this work is I don't think that it's about like waiting till it's comfortable to do it. It's like, no, lean into what you want to believe. And for you, Erin, it was, I want to believe that I can take a week off and be totally unplugged and that I can come back to my business and it'll thrive, right? Something around
Yeah.
that. And so we have to test it out. We have to have the courage and take the courageous action of actually unplugging on vacation, feel any discomfort that comes around it, and find the evidence that it's safe. It's okay. The
Mhm.
business is still here when you're back. So I love that offering of starting that evidence journal, of finding evidence of where it is working in your life. That's so fantastic. So good.
And I love that you reminded me of that because I totally didn't remember. And it's so funny how quickly we shift and we're like, and we forget. And I'm like, gosh,
Yeah,
since then I've taken so many trips and
I
so
know.
much time completely
Yeah.
off without even a thought about it. So
Right.
it's amazing. But you were so right. It's like it takes that first courageous step into whatever direction you're going and probably not to go too far. Like I probably, if I was
Yep.
like, I'm going to take 3 months completely off,
Yeah.
it would have shocked my system. But
Yep.
a week felt totally doable. And, it's just
Yep.
continued from there.
Yep,
Yeah.
100% leaning into it. I love it so much. So for people who want to have a business with less stress, let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
They want to create a reality for themselves where they are running a business and they're not on a roller coaster anymore. They're like, let me get off the roller coaster. I want to take maybe a different ride, like one that's just a little more relaxed, more enjoyable. What would be some of your tips? Like, what works for you to regulate your system through business?
hmm Yeah. So, I mean, really, what works to regulate my system in business and life are exactly the same because that stress
Mhm.
system doesn't like go on differently in business versus life. So, what's so beautiful is like, regardless of where you want to decrease stress, you're going to get ripple effects in every area of your life.
Mhm.
But what I love to do is I go back to that stress is survival. So,
Mhm.
our bodies can't hold tension when we're in a stress-free state. So many of us, or I won't speak for everyone, but certainly myself, kind of lived in my head, like
Yeah.
prioritized the logical mind, was kind of out of touch with my body, but really getting into a practice of scanning my body for any pockets of tension. If I have tension, which a lot of times I do, it means that I'm in that stress state.
Mhm.
So you'll probably notice if you're way overwhelmed, you're going to have more tension. But do you have tension in this moment? Because most of us
Mhm.
do carry tension. We're starting to dip our toe into stress mode. And that means like all that stuff that's for thriving, living with more ease, enjoying your business more is not going to be fully on board. So just a practice of starting to scan your body for pockets of tension. Simply that awareness kind of can help turn the dial down a little bit more. I also love once I locate that, doing some slow breathing. When we extend our exhale, that's really regulating to our nervous system. So, however long we inhale, just extending it longer. So, whatever count works for you, just extend it a
Mhm.
little more in the exhale. There's a yoga pose called ragdoll where you fold over at your
Yeah.
waist, super regulating. So it's like scanning your body, noticing the tension, probably going to be there. It's there for me
Yep.
too. And then doing something to just like turn the dial down. So what you're
Yeah.
doing is you're not eliminating it, but you're building a practice of getting closer to having less stress in your system.
I love it. Oh my gosh. You know what I like about this? I'm just envisioning it's just like it's a regulation tool belt that you have, because it's not like we're
Yeah.
going to live through the life, and especially if we're building something new, like when we're manifesting, we're creating something new, we're walking into the unknown, we're going on a path that isn't paved yet. So of course there's going to be some uncertainty and some stress that comes up, but I love that you have created this tool belt that works for you and your clients, that it's like, oh, when you get in that state, when you notice it, and I'm sure the more you do these body scans and notice where the tension is, I'm sure you gain awareness quicker and quicker of like, oh, my body's doing that thing again. And I
Yeah.
love that you have like tools that you can just use easily to help regulate it and set that intention to regulate. It's reminding me, because I've got like my manifestation toolbox, but I love you've got your regulation
Yes, I love
toolbox.
it.
It's so good.
Yes.
Um, so I know you've blended this practice with manifestation a
Yeah.
ton. Well, let's talk about first, what are some of the fun things that you've manifested by blending these practices? Are there any things that you could like share from your vision board that you've created in the
Absolutely.
last year or two?
I mean, well, a couple things you've mentioned, like my trip to Alaska. So my family went on this lovely Alaskan cruise this past summer, which was a dream. And I think in some ways too, my husband taking like a week off. He didn't take completely a week off, but like going that far for a week was kind of a stretch for him. But also your nervous systems communicate. So me regulating helped him regulate. Some fun things in my business, I think, as you mentioned, when we started working together little over a year ago, was building up my one-on-one practice, but felt so called to do a group. And I think there's an old podcast where you
There
coached me
is.
because I was terrified. I was terrified to do this, even though I was like, this is what I've wanted from the beginning, is to do like group. Um, and it has gone amazing. I'm about to start my third cohort of that. We're more than halfway full, and it's amazing. So it's like things have just come so much easier when I leaned into what I truly wanted, even though I was scared, and did it from a place of like acknowledging my nervous system and
Mm.
got regulated, like trusted that from that regulated place, I know what I want to do, and then just started taking courageous action toward it.
Oh my gosh, so
And I love my
fun.
group. So I'm so grateful to
I
you
know.
for like coaching me and like it's been
Which is
awesome.
so fun that we have that live, which by the way, because I love like witnessing someone's journey, and it's so fun whenever my clients are like, "Wait, I saw 2 years ago you coached that person when they were just starting, and look at them now." And it's like amazing to see that there was like fear there or anything like that, and we actually have a podcast coaching session of you being nervous to step into the group, and I'm coaching you through it. And this is so fun that it's literally 1 year later. I think that episode was
Yeah.
released last year and maybe in January. And here you are now having your third cohort, like filling these groups, having amazing clients. They're having amazing success. And you've stepped into it in a way where it's like, because I hear a lot of programming around, oh, it's harder to enroll groups or it's harder to do
Yeah.
groups. And that's simply not true. If that is your desire and that's what you feel called to create, it's not like you don't have to make that true. And it's not true for you. I've seen you enroll and you're in such flow when you do it.
Hmm.
It's really incredible to have seen over the past year what you've created. So that's amazing. What are some of the manifestation tools that you've blended that has worked for you?
Yes. You have great tools in your program. So anyone thinking about the movement, it's amazing. I still do the ideal vision, like
Yep.
the living vision, I think you call
Yep.
it, which that is
Yep.
so powerful. And just like certain universal laws that you talk about in your program, one that I rely on heavily, like in my day-to-day life, I think about the law of giving and receiving.
Mm.
So we did a lot of work too about something I didn't know. It's not just about giving, but it's about opening yourself up to receiving. So I definitely had a block in receiving compliments, probably receiving money. So really expanding in both areas has really been so helpful.
Amazing. That's so good. And you do your vision boards too.
I do vision boards. Yeah, how did I forget about that? So yes, vision boards. I even coach vision boards. I teach workshops on vision boards. I just did a workshop this past weekend for a group of physician moms, which was so fun and so cool. So like, I just feel like I get to share this work with incredible, incredible women, and I'm so blessed.
Yes, you got to take one of Erin's vision board workshops because she's manifested all of her vision boards. It's been so fun to celebrate. And now you teach the process of doing vision boarding, bringing some of the nervous system regulation work and stress reduction work together into it. So, yeah, y'all should sign up for one of her workshops when they come.
Okay.
So,
Well, and then you just like another practice you shared, which is
yeah.
so good, is like that it is done. Like, because I think this is
Mm,
coming up me thinking with my vision board, like I just create it and I just believe it is done. And I like share that with my clients. And that comes from you, like you just saying, like, it is done, like whatever you're saying, like, and getting in the belief that it truly is done. Because why not?
yeah. Ooh, so good. So
Mhm.
I this brings up another question then. How do you, because you're doing a lot of like regulating the system, it is done, the manifesting, having the vision, having the desire, leaning into the receiving. How do you know when to take action for you?
Mm. So I mean, I know you teach the model. I don't know if the model is talked about as much on the podcast, but like I always take action or I decide on action from regulation, I should say. So
Okay.
sometimes I'm not fully in it, but I get to that place of feeling regulated, which because it's a practice in my life,
Yeah.
it doesn't take long to access it. I might not stay
Okay.
there all day.
Hmm.
Um, but from that place, I can know what action is right for me. And
Mm,
it's so amazing because, like, there's so many practices I do, but like, I get the best ideas when I slow down and regulate. And then something will drop in. And I think we've talked about this too, like
yeah.
how I can do so much or so much effective
Yep.
work in no time at all from this regulated space. So when I know to take action, um, I think I do a lot less action than I used to, but I'm just very clear on the right action for me
Yeah.
than just busy action and keep moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, that's like the key to manifesting right there. It's all about the it's like what is the energy that you're taking it from, and the way that you describe that is regulated, right? That's
Yeah.
the energy is regulated. And it's so fascinating because I've had so many clients who do this work and get to a place where they are way more regulated or, you know, whatever the feeling is that you would call it, right? Regulated, in flow,
Yeah.
more grounded, more centered, right? And then you take action from that place. And even if like you're still super productive and doing a lot, it feels so different that it almost feels like you're not working, right? Like at least for me.
Absolutely.
And I know I've had clients that are like, I'm not even doing anything and I'm manifesting all this. I'm like, wait, but you just did this big workshop that was amazing. And they're like, well, that was fun. I'm like, yeah,
Yes. It
you're
can be
still
fun.
doing
Yes.
stuff. It's just from a completely different place. So the experience is so unbelievably different and it's totally possible. And you're an example of that. So it's really amazing to have witnessed and to just have seen the shifts, even just through this past year and how you work, I think is just incredible. So I want to acknowledge you and thank
Well,
you for
thank
sharing all the
you.
goodness. So, where can people follow you, find you, learn more about this work that you do and the
Yeah.
nervous system regulation and stress reduction? Because I know so many people are going to love it.
Yeah, I would love to connect. My favorite place is Instagram, and my Instagram handles Joy by Erin. I would say I think there's going to be some links. So I have a stress quiz, which I love to share. It's completely free if anyone wants to take it. Um, and it might be on my Instagram too. But it's so interesting because I think too in my own journey and in the people that I work with, we don't even realize how stressed we are. Like, we don't even realize, we might think like it's so normal, or isn't everyone this stressed, or it's not that bad. So this quiz is short and sweet, and it just basically will tell you where you fall. How far are you from that thriving zone? And give you encouragement that wherever you are, I have seen so many people drop that score, like lower the better, lower closer to the thriving zone, drop that
Yep.
score significantly within a couple weeks. So after you take the quiz, you're also going to get my 5 tips that are the best science-backed things to do to lower your stress. So it's stuff that I literally do every day. I write these things down every single day, and I check in with myself. And I know that if I'm feeling more dysregulated, if I just up on one of them, it's going to help me. And it does every time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, we will put all of this in the show notes so y'all can grab it for sure. And special announcement for those of you who are in the money manifestation movement or are going to come into it in the future. Erin is teaching a super special workshop in there next
Yes.
month on bringing these tools into manifestation. So I'm so excited for that. And I'm so excited it'll be available for everyone in the movement too. It will have the replay as well for people who come in the future. So can't
Amazing. I
wait to
can't
have you
wait.
in there. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Erin. I appreciate it. And it's been amazing to witness your whole journey and see all the success that you've created from this regulated state and being in the flow and really working with your energy. So it's been an honor to coach you. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.